Is your dog happy? This is my dog, Jackson, and I am positive this is one of the happiest moments of his life. At least I was until I read Alexandra Horowitz's op-ed in the New York Times. Now, I'm not so sure. So, is this dog happy? Is this dog happy? Is this dog happy? And what about this one? Is this dog happy? What is it like to be a dog? Horowitz studies dog behavior, gifs, memes, Instagram posts, ads, and especially most movies about dogs make her grumpy, like the upcoming Wes Anderson film, Isle of Dogs.
The Isle of Dogs.
I don't think I can stomach any more of this garbage.
Exactly.
Same here.
Words out of my mouth.
Nobody's giving up around here, and don't you forget it, ever. You're Rex. You're King. You're Duke. You're Boss. I'm Chief. We're a pack of scary, indestructible alpha dogs.
Because he's a 12-year-old boy. Dogs love those.
We'll find him. Wherever he is, if he's alive, we'll find your dog.
Come on, those are furry humans. They're way more evolved than Doug from Disney's Pixar movie Up.
Hey, I like dogs.
We have your dog.
Whoa.
Wonder who he belongs to.
Sit, boy. Hey, look, he's trained. Shake. Uh-huh. Speak.
Hi there.
Did that dog just say hi there?
Oh, yes.
Bruh!
My name is Doug. I have just met you, and I love you. My master made me this collar. He is a good and smart master, and he made me this collar so that I may talk. Squirrel!
Opinion Nation, I want to know, why do we treat our dogs like people? Tweet me at Carol/HLN or comment on my Facebook page, facebook.com/CarolHLN. Join the conversation with my guest. Alexandra Horowitz is here. She wrote that article in the New York Times. She's a dog cognition expert. And Topher Brody joins me, too. He's an artist you may know from his widely popular photos of he and his dog, Rosenberg. Alexandra, are you a cat person?
I am very much a dog person, and I love dogs, and I get great, humor and laughter out of dogs, but not when they're treated kind of as objects of ridicule.
So what is the crux of your argument? Like, we like to love our dogs and pretend that they can actually understand what we're saying, and so what you're trying to get across in your op-ed?
Well, two things, really. I mean, I study dog behavior and cognition. I'm interested in knowing what it's like to be a non-human animal, a dog. And I think when we treat them not as dogs, but as little furry humans, then we're kind of missing an important part of them and not treating them with dignity. And when we anthropomorphize like that, giving them human characteristics, then actually we risk really misunderstanding their behavior. Sometimes a dog might seem to smile when they're actually really stressed or worried. And that kind of misunderstanding can lead to really difficult relationships with dogs, too.
Absolutely. So, Topher, I'm looking at your dog.
Yes.
Hi there. I just want to say thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm honored to be here, Alexandra. I'm a huge fan of you and your writing.
Thank you.
And I want to say, you make some interesting points, and I respect where you're coming from. And the first thing is, anyone who makes their animal companion uncomfortable, unhappy, that's wrong. It really isn't right, and I'm against anything that doesn't bring happiness to an animal. In terms of humanizing our animals, if they're happy, and we know, hopefully, when our dogs are happy by being so close to them, and we're basically humanizing them, treating them like family members, and making sure that their needs are met with exercise, with food, with socialization, with dog behavior. If we humanize them, it helps us treat them more divinely and helps people that aren't animal lovers have more of a heart for animals, because there's a lot of animals out there being mistreated. And if there's a way to spread positivity,
okay, so
I
Topher,
think it's a very positive thing.
I know where you're going. So what Topher's trying to say is, by treating your dog like a human sometimes, it makes you a more loving person. Does that make sense to you, Alexandra?
I think, yeah, there's a good argument to be made that by humanizing animals, dogs in particular, it allows us to pay them some respect and treat them well like we would hope we treat other humans. But I think there is another option besides just treating them as furry humans or disregarding them, and that's having a respect for them as the animal that they are. And in the dog's case, a lot of things people do with dogs are not trying to understand who the dog is. And sure, the dog can suffer through wearing a costume, you know, being made at some level an object of our ridicule, even if loving ridicule. They can deal with it. But I think you have a much better relationship if you're a good reader of their behavior and can appreciate what the dog needs and wants. That actually leads to the best dog-human bond.
I think we're saying the exact same thing.
Topher, I will say that, you know, I have a dog and I love him dearly, but he has most fun when he's out running as fast as he can, or smelling things that he shouldn't be smelling, or rolling around in stuff that's gross. I mean, those are the times that I feel my dog is actually the most happy.
What's more important than that? Dogs need to be dogs in every which possible way. And in terms of, you know, their dignity, they need to be comfortable and happy. Again, most important thing. Rosenberg, his happiness is more important than my happiness. So that's the first thing. Second of all, in terms of dignity, I don't think we could look at dignity in the human form that we do. If we did the way that they smell each other's butts and do other dogs' behavior, if we judged based on all of our human psychology, we wouldn't be able to translate it properly. But humanizing them is important to us and to humans in another way. A lot of humans, like myself, you know, sometimes we don't have family, and I do now, but I didn't when Rosenberg came into my life, and they're lonely, and they could have emotional distress. Sometimes their only family, thinking about an animal as family, it's the only family that they have, and it helps them through really hard
get
times.
that. And I don't think that's what Alexandra's saying. Like, I think that Alexandra understands the bond between humans and dogs. But when you say something like, look at this picture, my dog is smiling, Alexandra, do dogs smile?
Yeah. They do have a smile, and it's usually a smile of submission or anxiety. In fact, one of the things I studied in our lab was what we think of as the guilty look of dogs, where they seem to know that they've done something wrong and give you this, sometimes a grin and a kind of cowering look. And it's actually a pretty cute look in our mind. And we seem to think that, therefore, they know they've done something wrong, maybe we won't punish them. And as it turns out, they don't show that look more often when they're guilty. They show it when they're kind of scared, you know, because in many ways we're in control of their life. And so there you have an example of something that looks cute to us, and in some ways I agree, it does make us feel like we want to extend our family to include that dog, the smile. But in fact, they're actually kind of terrified or worried, and I'd rather that we understood that. And it's very hard for people to understand that, to see that right away. And when we understand that, then we can really have a great familial relationship of kind of more mutual understanding.
I think you're making a good point again, though. It's a personal thing. We have to know our animals. And sometimes when you talk about dignity, hey, if I'm wearing a tutu and lipstick, you might think that's undignified to me, but it might not be undignified in terms of how I view it and how I feel. And it's the same thing with your animal companion. A lot of animals shouldn't be dressed up. They shouldn't wear clothes because it makes them uncomfortable. They don't have the right temperament for it. I could speak for Rosenberg specifically. You know, he also has a coat that's hair, so he gets cold easily. So he really likes, especially in the winter, some clothing, and he's anxious. Sometimes the clothes function as some kind of a thunder vest, but it's a very specific thing. But I myself have been judged and had some hardships emotionally as a child, and a lot of people have. I do my best not to judge other people because I don't want to be judged. I also think it's an analogy to humanize our animals because they're different from us. It's also an analogy to humanize all these different people that are different from us, whether they be different genders,
we understand,
races, sexual orientations.
We do. We totally get it.
Bond.
But I have to end the conversation here. I wish I could go on, but thanks to you both for being with me. I do appreciate it. Alexandra Horowitz.
Thank you, Carol.
And Topher Brophy, and of course Rosenberg. And thank you, Opinionation, for your comments and the great pictures of your dogs. I love that.